Otherwise, you're saying, how are you evaluating why is one design better than another? What's your goal? It's got to be a goal. So the goal is get enough tonnage to Mars and enough people to make Mars self-sustaining as quickly as possible. So then you say, okay, let's back out the math on this. We're gonna need a lot of tonnage. Maybe
Mars and stuff.
If you listen to something, you will see your mind will become focused and still. Hearing is not listening. Hearing unfortunately happens, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Hearing causes distress to the mind. Listening brings mind to stillness. Every moment
Hold on, I gotta run it back.
existence.
From now on,
Listen up.
If you listen to something, you will see your mind will become focused and still. Hearing is not listening. Hearing unfortunately happens, whether you like it or not. Hearing causes distress to the mind. Listening brings mind to stillness. Every moment of existence. Everything is speaking. People don't listen. People cannot listen because too much is happening, their own talk is happening in their head. And the danger of speaking on these terms is, now there are a lot of scatterbrains who suddenly hear coconut trees telling them something. That's a danger. So to listen does not mean to imagine. You can only be listening when you're not talking, isn't it?
That was good.
from now on, whenever
It's
you
not
bring
to
on a new
imagine.
person, put them through this exercise.
We see
If
this
they will not go through this exercise, do not waste a minute of your time with them, because they will never be successful if they won't follow your guidance. Here's the exercise. Take a clean sheet of paper and write down goals in today's state, and then write down 10 goals that you would like to accomplish in the next 12 months, and write them in the present tense. I earn, I achieve, I weigh, I drive such and such a car, I own. And then you take this list of 10 and you say, if I had a magic wand and I could wave this magic wand and I could have any one goal on my list within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on my life? And usually this will jump out at you. Put a circle around that goal. And that's a goal you transfer to a clean sheet of paper, and then you follow the 7 steps. Write it down, set a deadline, make a list of everything you have to do to accomplish it, organize the list into a checklist, take action, and then do something every day. If you'll just do this, nothing can stop you but yourself. From now on, whenever you bring...
Focusing our visual attention on one particular point is incredibly effective for all.
You're not going to be successful in life if you become a slave of these technologies, a slave of these machines.
Now, the question is, how does one take back control and make these machines into your slaves instead of the other way around? There's basically 3 things that you can do. Strategy number 1 is to fight fire with fire. I've been using an extension for many years now called Newsfeed Eradicator, and it completely eliminates the newsfeed from my Facebook page. There are apps like this for Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube. Strategy number 2 is to manipulate your physical environment. I found that working at home is near impossible because that's where I tend to relax. So what I've done instead is manipulate my physical environment by going outside and working in random cafes. And finally, strategy number 3, training yourself like a dog. And a great way to do this is to work for a bit and then purposely reward yourself for a short period of time. Sort of like how you would give a dog a treat after he does a trick.
You're not going to be successful in life if you become a slave of these technologies, a slave of...
So if you're struggling to stay focused while studying, then you might want to try a technique called adventure studying. This is a concept from computer science professor Cal Newport, and it's based on the idea that our brain craves novelty. Normally, studying in your room or in your library is pretty boring, but if you can find a way to incorporate a sense of adventure into your work, you'll automatically become more productive and you'll even enjoy the process a little bit more. For example, you might try taking a walk to the local coffee shop and working from there, or maybe even heading outdoors and studying under a tree or something. If you've got a free weekend coming up, take a road trip with friends to a cottage and study together from there. It's really all about finding ways to enjoy the journey, because when we're having fun, productivity takes care of itself. So
people ask me, Sadhguru, how do you operate with all these people? All kinds of horrible questions they're asking, they're doing this, they're doing that. I said, my life is not about them, it's about me. It's about how I am. It's about me. It doesn't matter how they are, that's their choice. But how I am is my choice. This is my way. No matter what they do, I'm like this. Because I have not given that freedom to anybody, that somebody can freak me, somebody can make me angry, somebody can make me happy, somebody can make me unhappy. These privileges I kept to myself. It's time you do that too. Because if somebody else can decide what can happen within you right now, isn't this the ultimate slavery?
Yes, it is.
People ask me, "Sir,
There's a power flowing into your consciousness. And as that power flows into your consciousness, you can make anything you want out of it. When you start to get emotionally involved with an idea that is far beyond your present conditioning, everything goes a little nuts. Your nervous system is affected. It's what we call the terror barrier. What's causing the terror barrier? It's the paradigm. The paradigm is trying to hold you where you are. The paradigm is a multitude of habits that are fixed in the subconscious mind. And when you go to stir them up, everything goes crazy in your nervous system. It's worry, fear, anxiety. You've heard the saying, habits die hard.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. Good to be up in here for the time being. I ain't gonna put too much on it, take too much off it. I'm gonna just give you what you need and then get back on that. You understand? So, today, let me see. Yeah, no, we're not taking a look. Dang, I didn't update it on Twitch. Give me 1 second. Let me update this on Twitch. Anyway, like I was saying, today we growing wiser. So since it's Mindful Monday, all I want to do is get us into a mindset of being aware, being mindful as usual, and we're going to grow a little wiser by listening to some of our quotes. Well, first our motivation, then some of our quotes, and then we'll have a little bit of fun. Then we'll get back out of here with some more quotes and motivation together. All right, so be prepared for full quote enlightening day. All right, let's get this thing going. Where my beat at? Turn my beat off. Motivation for today. Look. Yeah. Let's go. Let's put on the filter. Okay. 8 minutes.
Elon Musk, the man who revolutionized electric cars, space travel, and even wants to take us to Mars. This guy is on fire. He's not just dreaming big, he's dreaming on a whole other level. But what makes him so insanely successful? What drives him to achieve the seemingly impossible? In this video, we'll uncover the most powerful success lessons from Elon Musk, the very same principles that have propelled him to the forefront of innovation and disruption. We're talking about the mindset, the strategies, the sheer willpower that has reshaped industries and inspired millions around the globe. Get ready to unleash your inner Elon. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on life-changing success tips. Let's dive in. Most people, they stay stuck in their comfort zones. They think small, they play it safe. But Elon Musk, he...
Okay, that's whack. I ain't even gonna do y'all like that. Let's take the filter off. Might have heard this one. So let's scroll down some. There you go.
I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing, many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. So the question that we got to ask ourselves is what success is to us, what success is to you. Is it more money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Where you are not is as important as where you are. It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am. I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that it really might not bring out the best in you? You know, they gossip too much, or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. Or how about that food that we keep eating? Stuff that tastes so good going down, it makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic and we keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, when you quit going there, when you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. Look, trust me, too many options, I promise you this, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. All right, so get rid of the excess, the wasted time. Decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. So give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. We try our best, we don't always do our best. Well, architecture is a verb as well. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them, and we have more to dissect. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it. Do it because you want to. We're gonna make mistakes. You gotta own them. Then you gotta make amends. And then you gotta move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life.
Y'all heard that? Y'all heard Matthew and everything he said. All right, so did I update Twitch? Yes, I did. All right, so let's grow a little wiser. Hold on, let me pass the ball. I'll type it on the wrong screen. Wisdom for growth. Oh, I didn't type wisdom for growth. I typed wisdom for grown. All right, here we go.
The average team spends 50% of their time doing work about work. That's a lot of dollars.
Once upon a time, there was a young man who lived in a small village at the foot of a mountain. This young man was known throughout the village for his laziness. He would spend his days lying in the shade of a tree, napping and daydreaming, while the other villagers toiled away in the fields and workshops. One day, a wise old monk came to the village and called the young man over to him. "My son," said the monk, "I have a task for you. I want you to climb to the top of that mountain and bring back a single feather from the highest peak." The young man looked up at the mountain and scoffed. "That's impossible," he said. "I'm far too lazy to climb all the way up there." The monk smiled and said, "Ah, but you see, the feather I seek is not on the mountain itself. It is on the other side of the mountain, in a cave that can only be reached by climbing to the top and descending the other side." The young man was intrigued. He had never heard of this feather, and the thought of such a unique task sparked his curiosity. And so, he decided to take up the monk's challenge. The climb was long and arduous, and the young man soon found himself out of breath and sweating profusely. But as he climbed higher and higher, he began to feel a sense of exhilaration and excitement that he had never felt before. When he finally reached the summit, he was exhausted but elated. He looked out at the breathtaking view before him and felt a sense of accomplishment that he had never experienced before. But the real challenge lay ahead. The young man had to descend the other side of the mountain and find the cave where the feather was said to be located. The descent was even more treacherous than the climb, and the young man stumbled and fell many times. But he persevered, driven by the promise of the feather that lay ahead. And when he finally reached the cave, he saw the feather lying there, gleaming in the light that filtered in from the entrance. He picked up the feather and marveled at its beauty. But then he realized that he had a problem. How was he going to get back up the mountain and return the feather to the monk? For a moment, the young man considered giving up. But then he remembered the sense of accomplishment and pride that he had felt when he had reached the summit. He knew that he had the strength and determination to do it again. And so he climbed back up the mountain, his muscles aching and his lungs burning. But he did not give up. He pushed himself to keep going, driven by the knowledge that he had overcome his own laziness and accomplished something truly remarkable. When he finally reached the monk and presented him with the feather, the monk smiled and said, "Well done, my son. You have learned an important lesson today. Laziness is not something to be accepted or tolerated. It is a challenge to be overcome, a hurdle to be leaped over." The young man nodded, understanding the wisdom of the monk's words. He realized that he had always been capable of great things, but that his laziness had held him back. Now he knew that he had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle that lay in his path. The lesson of the monk's challenge is that laziness is not something that should be accepted or tolerated. It is a challenge that must be overcome, a hurdle that must be leaped over. When we push ourselves to achieve our goals, even when they seem impossible, we discover a strength and resilience within ourselves that we never knew existed. To overcome laziness, we must challenge ourselves and set ambitious goals, no matter how difficult they may seem. We must push ourselves beyond our limits and persevere even when we face setbacks and obstacles. We must also cultivate discipline and consistency in our daily habits and routines. By setting a schedule and sticking to it, we can build good habits that help us to stay focused and productive, even when we don't feel like it. Another important aspect of overcoming laziness is to cultivate a growth mindset. This means viewing challenges and failures as opportunities for growth and learning, rather than as reasons to give up. By adopting a growth mindset, we can reframe our thinking about failure and use it as a catalyst for improvement and progress. Ultimately, Overcoming laziness requires a willingness to step out of our comfort zone and embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
You can manifest anything and everything you might dream up if you get in harmony with how.
Oh, that was the end of that one. So let's get some more.
Your brain is constantly distracted. Notifications, deadlines, and a never-ending to-do list are pulling you in a million directions. But what if there was an ancient method to quiet the noise, bring your mind into laser-sharp focus, and finally start crushing your goals? In this video, I'll show you how to apply the Lotus Method, rooted in Eastern philosophy, to transform your scattered thoughts into a calm, clear, and focused mindset. Miss this, and you might never break free from distraction. But watch through and change your life, starting now. Part 1. Gohan's struggle with resistance. Gohan is full of potential, much like you. He has big dreams and clear goals. He wants to get fit, excel in his career, and improve his personal life. But every time he tries to take action, something holds him back. It's not that Gohan lacks motivation. He watches motivational videos, listens to podcasts, and reads about self-improvement. But despite all of that, his mind resists when it's time to act. He finds himself scrolling through his phone instead of working on his goals. Every time he plans to start something important, his brain pulls him towards something more comfortable, something easier. He's stuck in a cycle of procrastination and self-doubt. And the worst part is, he knows exactly what's happening, but can't seem to break free. This isn't just a Gohan problem. It's a universal one. It's the mind's way of avoiding discomfort. Every time we face a challenge that feels hard or unfamiliar, the mind seeks comfort in distractions, social media, games, even daydreaming. Gohan feels like he's battling himself, and no matter how much motivational content he consumes, it never lasts. He's starting to realize he needs something deeper, something more grounded than fleeting motivation. In Eastern philosophy, the mind is often compared to a wild monkey, jumping from one thought or distraction to the next, avoiding anything that feels uncomfortable or difficult. The Buddha once said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." This is exactly what's happening to Gohan. His own mind is sabotaging him. His thoughts constantly pull him away from what he truly wants, towards what feels comfortable in the moment. The ancient monks understood this battle and developed methods to tame the mind, bringing it into focus, clarity, and calmness. What Gohan is experiencing is the human condition. The mind, by nature, resists challenges. It prefers safety and familiarity. But Eastern teachings, especially those that influence the Lotus Method, show us that this resistance is not something to fight against with brute force. Instead, the first step is awareness. The mind resists because it seeks to protect us from discomfort, but it's possible to shift this dynamic. Awareness is key. Once Gohan becomes aware that his mind is naturally wired to avoid discomfort, he can stop being so hard on himself. This is the first lesson in the Lotus Method. Before trying to change the mind, you have to understand it. For Gohan, the battle is clear. His mind is resisting because it's wired to do so. But now he sees that the first step is not to fight his mind or force it to.
What about the negative side that we should look out for, or the red flags when we're dating someone? What would you suggest to look out for?
Behave differently. It's about awareness. When Gohan becomes aware of his mind's resistance, he stops trying to bulldoze through it and instead acknowledges the role his mind plays in protecting him from discomfort. But rather than give in to those protective tendencies, Gohan learns to observe them without judgment. This is a core principle of the Lotus Method. Before you can change your thoughts, you must first become aware of them. Awareness is only the first step. Now that Gohan has seen his mind for what it is, how does he move forward? The next phase of the Lotus Method teaches him how to release the grip of resistance and flow with his thoughts rather than against them. Part 2. Embracing the flow of life. Gohan realizes that his old methods, forcing himself to work harder, pushing through resistance, aren't working. So he starts looking for deeper wisdom. That's when he stumbles upon the teachings of Lao Tzu, the ancient philosopher of Taoism. Lao Tzu speaks about Wu Wei, the concept of non-resistance, the the art of moving with life instead of fighting against it. One of Lao Tzu's teachings resonates deeply with Gohan. By letting it go, it all gets done. This confuses him at first. How can letting go lead to accomplishing things? But the more he reflects on it, the more he understands that maybe the reason he's been struggling so much is because he's been fighting against life, against his own nature. Gohan starts to wonder, what if doing hard things wasn't about sheer force? What if there was a way to approach his challenges that didn't feel like constant resistance? The Lotus Method, rooted in this Eastern philosophy, suggests that maybe the solution isn't to fight harder, but to stop fighting altogether, to find the natural flow within the effort. Wu Wei teaches something that feels counterintuitive in today's world, that by going with the flow of life, rather than resisting it, we can actually accomplish.
Now, thank y'all for this, because I needed this. Ooh, sounds better than what I was thinking.
More. It's not about giving up or being passive. It's about moving in harmony with the natural rhythms of life. When we push too hard, life pushes back. But when we align ourselves with life's current, we move forward with less effort. Gohan begins to see that his constant battle to push his mind to work harder only makes it fight back. By embracing this ancient Taoist wisdom, he realizes that it's possible to work on difficult tasks without resisting them. Instead of viewing hard tasks as enemies, he starts seeing them as part of the flow. Gohan starts applying Wu Wei in his life. Instead of forcing himself through every difficult task, he learns to approach them with ease. When something hard comes up, whether it's a workout, a work project, or a personal challenge, he pauses and reminds himself not to resist it. He accepts that difficulty is part of life's flow, and in doing so, he releases the inner struggle. This shift makes his tasks feel lighter. Where once he battled with himself to get things done, he now feels a sense of calmness in the process. This is the next step in the Lotus Method, releasing resistance and finding harmony in effort. Now that Gohan has started to go with the flow of life, he needs to learn how to cultivate stillness and reflection to deepen his journey. Part 3. The Power of Stillness and Reflection. Gohan's journey continues as he searches for ways to quiet his restless mind. That's when he encounters Zen Buddhism and the concept of Zazen, or sitting meditation. At first, the idea seems simple, just sitting in silence. But as Gohan tries it, he discovers how difficult it is to sit still while his mind races. He's used to constant action, to thinking that doing more is the solution. But as he learns from Zen Master Dogen's teachings, if you can't find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it?
Sir.
Gohan begins to realize that true strength and clarity don't come from constantly moving forward. They come from stillness. Through Zazen, Gohan experiences a powerful shift. Instead of his mind feeling chaotic and scattered, it starts to settle. Just like a lake disturbed by wind calms down when the wind stops, Gohan's mind becomes clearer the more he practices stillness. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that he starts to see his challenges for what they really are, not insurmountable obstacles, but opportunities to grow. Gohan realizes that his constant urge to do was what made his mind so resistant to the hard tasks. In stillness, he finds a sharpness in his thoughts, a clarity he hadn't experienced before. Instead of rushing headlong into tasks, he takes a step back, practices Zazen, and lets the answers come to him. In the quiet, he discovers his own inner strength. This is the third step in the Lotus Method, cultivating stillness. Gohan begins to embrace the idea that stillness, like the roots of the lotus flower buried in the mud, provides the foundation for growth. Just as the lotus flower rises through the mud to bloom in purity, Gohan realizes that his challenges, the very things that cause stress and anxiety, are the mud that can nourish his personal growth. By practicing stillness daily, he not only calms his mind, but also develops a steady focus. Now, when he approaches difficult tasks, his mind is clear, and he's able to move through challenges with a calm, deliberate energy. But stillness alone isn't enough. Gohan has learned how to calm his mind, but now he must take that calm focus and turn it into action. Part 4. Turning reflection into action. As Gohan continues practicing stillness, something begins to change. His mind, once chaotic and scattered, becomes a tool for focus and sharp decision-making. He recalls the lessons of the Shaolin monks, who not only meditated for hours, but also perfected their bodies through physical discipline. The monks believed in a deep connection between mental clarity and physical action. One could not exist without the other. Gohan realizes that meditation has given him clarity, but now it's time to turn that reflection into purposeful action, much like the Shaolin monks who applied their inner calm to their movements in martial arts. Gohan starts to see his life tasks like a Shaolin monk would approach their training, with precision, purpose, and patience. Every task, no matter how small, deserves focus. He understands that he doesn't need to take on everything at once. Instead, he can channel his newfound clarity into one action at a time. The Shaolin monks teach that true mastery is the harmony between the mind and body. If the mind is still,
Come on,
You know what you're capable of, but you're unfocused and inconsistent.
the body can act with intention. But if the mind is chaotic, the body's actions are also disordered. In the same way, Gohan learns that his stillness needs to translate into focused, intentional action. Meditation without action leads to stagnation, and action without reflection leads to burnout. The key is balance. The monk's wisdom shows him that when both are aligned, he can achieve more than he ever thought possible without feeling overwhelmed. The fourth step in the Lotus Method is action with intention. Gohan realizes that his ability to succeed doesn't come from doing 100 things at once. It comes from doing one thing at a time with his full attention. He begins to approach his work, relationships, and personal projects with this singular focus, giving each task his full energy and clarity. As a result, he finds that the hard tasks he once dreaded now seem manageable, and he moves through them with calm determination. Gohan is no longer scattered. He's precise, like a Shaolin monk practicing a kata with deliberate, mindful movements. But even with focus and intention, there's one more essential piece to the puzzle. Part 5. The Lotus and the Art of Patience. Gohan has been making steady progress. He's learned to calm his mind through stillness and reflection, and he's started to turn that clarity into intentional action. But as the days go by, he finds himself growing impatient. Despite his focus and effort, the results aren't coming as quickly as he hoped. The frustration builds, and Gohan begins to wonder if he's doing something wrong. That's when he remembers the teachings of the Eastern monks who often spoke about the lotus flower. The lotus grows slowly, pushing its way through the thick mud beneath the surface before it blooms into something beautiful. The monks teach that the beauty of the lotus is in its patience. It doesn't rush the process. It blooms when it's ready. Gohan realizes that just like the lotus, he needs to practice patience. The progress may be slow, but rushing it will only create resistance. Gohan learns to embrace the slowness of the journey. By letting go of his impatience, he finds that he is more at peace with his progress. Like the lotus flower, he knows that his bloom will come, but it will happen in its own time. The art of patience becomes his final lesson in mastering the mind, and with it, he feels a sense of calm that he had never experienced before. So, where are you on this journey? Are you resisting, or are you ready to embrace the Lotus Method? Start with one step, whether it's practicing stillness, applying more intentional focus, or learning to be patient with yourself. Your growth will come, but it will unfold in its own time. If this video gave you some insight, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and let's continue this journey of mastering the mind together.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. Let's go.
This is Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises. Built to meet any brief.
You anymore? Like you're holding on to habits, thoughts, and patterns that are keeping you from the person you're meant to be? What if I told you that to move forward, you need to kill your current self? Not in a destructive way, but in a way that allows you to rise stronger, just like a phoenix. Part 1. the struggle with the old self. Let's talk about Gohan. He's just like many of us, someone who's been stuck in the same patterns for years. Every day feels like a repeat of the last. He knows something's off, but he can't quite put his finger on it. He's been trying to break free, to grow into something better, but every time he takes a step forward, he feels like he's pulled right back into the same old routines. Gohan keeps making the same mistakes, falling into the same habits, and wondering why life isn't changing. It's like he's living on autopilot. Maybe you can relate to Gohan. Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of habits and thoughts that once served you but are now holding you back. And that's the thing about our old self. It's not necessarily bad. In fact, it might have gotten you through tough times or helped you succeed in the past. But there comes a point when the version of yourself that got you here is no longer the version that can take you forward.
Yes, sir.
It keeps you comfortable,
Yes, sir.
but not fulfilled. Musashi said, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. And that's what Gohan's missing. He's holding on too tightly to his current self,
sir.
thinking that's all he can be. But the truth is, to grow, we have to be willing to let go of who we are now. The habits that feel familiar but keep us from taking risks. The thoughts that convince us we can't do better. The patterns that hold us back. We all have an old self, the version of us that served a purpose up to now. But now it's time to move on. And just like Gohan, you might feel stuck, not knowing how to let go. But here's the thing. Transformation requires you to face the truth about your current self and accept that the person you are today isn't the person you need to be tomorrow. But before Gohan can rise as someone new, he has to confront the uncomfortable truth about his current self. That's where the process of burning down the old begins. Part 2. Burning down the old. Now, Gohan's finally come to a realization. He needs to change. He's recognized that the habits, the mindset, and the version of himself he's been holding on to are keeping him stuck. But realizing the need for change is one thing. Letting go of that old self is something entirely different. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. And for Gohan, it feels like he's standing at the edge of a cliff, terrified of what will happen if he lets go. Letting go of the old version of yourself isn't easy. It's scary to think about burning away the parts of you that you've held on to for so long, the parts that have kept you safe, that feel familiar. But if Gohan wants to transform, this is where the process begins. It's not about making small adjustments. It's about burning away the parts of himself that are holding him back. This is where Musashi's Dokudo comes in. Musashi taught detachment, not just from material possessions, but from the identity we cling to. For Gohan, and for you, it means letting go of the limitations, fears, and beliefs that have defined who you are up to this point. You have to detach from the version of yourself that you've built, the one that tells you, this is all I can be. It's not just about giving up bad habits, it's about unlearning the things you've always believed about yourself that no longer serve you. For Gohan, this means shedding the old skin that's become too tight, too restrictive. It's uncomfortable because he's been living in that skin for so long that it's hard to imagine life without it. But this is the key. Before you can become someone new, you must let the old version of you fall apart. Imagine the phoenix rising from the ashes. Before it can be reborn, it must burn. And that's what Gohan is doing, burning down the old self. It's not a pleasant process, but it's necessary. The fears that have kept him from stepping forward, the limitations that have made him think small, all of that has to go. Only then can the transformation begin. Once Gohan has burned down the old, what remains? Ashes. But in those ashes, he'll find the spark that will allow him to rebuild himself, stronger and more intentional than before. Part 3. Finding the ashes. Now, Gohan has burned down his old self. Everything he once thought defined him, his habits, his mindset, his old patterns, is gone. He's at rock bottom, and it feels like chaos. There's nothing left to hold on to, But it's in this moment of stillness, in the ashes of what he once was, that the real transformation begins. Because in these ashes, Gohan is free. Free from the constraints of who he thought he was supposed to be. It's tempting to rush through this stage, to try to rebuild yourself as fast as possible.
My team used to spend more time updating me on their work than actually doing it. Turns out, there's a better way. Take a look at any
But true transformation requires stillness. Sitting in that empty space where everything feels stripped away. It's uncomfortable, but it's also where the magic happens. It's in this stillness that you start to rediscover who you really are, and more importantly, who you want to be. Carl Jung often spoke about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, the things we don't want to confront. When you've burned away the old version of yourself, the shadow surfaces. And it's not something to be feared. It's something to be integrated. This is the moment where you acknowledge the things about yourself you've been avoiding, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities. But instead of pushing them away, you use them to fuel your next steps. This is where Gohan begins to shift. He realizes he doesn't have to completely reinvent himself. He doesn't need to become someone entirely new. What he's doing is rebuilding, taking the best parts of himself and letting go of the rest. The old self had its purpose, but now he's ready to create something stronger, something more aligned with his true potential. The stillness is the turning point. It's where Gohan and you stop letting the old story define what's possible. It's where you find clarity, focus, and direction for the person you're becoming. The shadow doesn't control you, it empowers you. And now, in the ashes, Gohan has the spark to rebuild. But how do you ensure that what you're building will truly last? Part 4. Rebuilding with intention. Now that Gohan is standing in the ashes of his former self, he's ready to rebuild. But this time, it's different. He's not rushing back to who he used to be or falling into old habits. This time, Gohan is rebuilding with intention. Every piece of the person he's becoming is chosen carefully. He's not just adding back what's familiar. He's creating something stronger, something that's truly aligned with who he wants to be. Rebirth isn't just about wiping the slate clean. It's about rebuilding with purpose. This is where many people stumble. After tearing down the old self, they slip back into the same patterns they were trying to escape. It's easy to fall into the comfort of what's familiar. But if you want real transformation, you have to be intentional about what you bring into your new life. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. He explains that small, deliberate changes, when done consistently, lead to long-lasting transformation. Gohan starts small, thinking about what habits, thoughts, and practices are truly serving him. He doesn't try to overhaul his entire life overnight. Instead, he asks himself, what do I want to keep from my old self? What do I want to let go of? And that's the key. Rebuilding isn't about becoming someone completely different. It's about refining who you are. It's about getting rid of the habits and mindsets that held you back and intentionally choosing new ones that align with your values and goals. Gohan knows that if he doesn't choose carefully, he'll just end up becoming a slightly different version of his old self, trapped in the same cycle. He starts by focusing on small, actionable changes. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to reflect on his goals. Maybe it's cutting out distractions that keep him from being productive. These small steps, though they may seem insignificant at first, compound over time. And with every intentional choice, Gohan is becoming more aligned with the vision he has for his life. Rebuilding with intention means taking control of your future. It's about deciding what kind of person you want to be and then choosing the habits, routines, and mindset that will get you there. Gohan understands that this isn't a quick fix. It's a gradual process. But with each step, he's building a version of himself that's stronger, more focused, and more aligned with his true potential. But even as Gohan rebuilds himself, he knows that the process doesn't stop here. Rebirth isn't a one-time event, it's a cycle. Continuous growth is what keeps him evolving. Part 5. The Cycle of Rebirth. Gohan has risen from the ashes. He's shed his old self, faced the stillness, and rebuilt with intention. But here's the truth. His journey isn't over. Transformation isn't a one-time thing. Just as the phoenix is reborn again and again, Gohan knows that his growth is a cycle. It's a process he will repeat, not just once, but many times throughout his life. Musashi understood this well. He believed that mastery wasn't a destination. It was a journey that required constant learning and evolving. Musashi never stopped growing. Even at the height of his skills, he continued to refine his craft, to study, to improve. And that's what Gohan realizes now. The version of himself he's built today might serve him well for a while, but eventually, he'll have to shed it too. The Phoenix method teaches us that rebirth isn't the end. It's the beginning of the next phase. Life will keep changing, and so will Gohan's challenges. As he moves forward, there will be new habits to break, new mindsets to adopt, and new versions of himself to become. This cycle of death and rebirth is essential for continuous growth. The person you are today may not be enough to handle the challenges you'll face tomorrow, and that's okay. It's part of the process. The key here is resilience.
Yes, sir.
Gohan knows that life will knock him down again at some point. He might face setbacks, failures, or moments of doubt, but he's no longer afraid of falling apart. He understands that falling apart is just part of the transformation. Each time he rises, he becomes stronger, more focused, and more aligned with his purpose. This is the Phoenix method in action. Rise, evolve, and rise again. Just like the Phoenix, Gohan will continue to burn away parts of himself that no longer serve him, over and over throughout his life. And this isn't a weakness. It's the source of his strength. Every time he sheds an old layer, he grows stronger. Every time he falls and gets back up, he rises higher. The real power of this method is in embracing the cycle. You don't just kill your current self once. You do it again and again as you grow, as you face new challenges, and as you step into bigger, more meaningful versions of your life. And that's the beauty of continuous growth. It's never ending. You're never done becoming who you're meant to be. Now that Gohan has learned to rise from the ashes, it's time for you to put the Phoenix method into action. So what will you let go of today? What parts of your current self need to burn away so you can rise stronger? If this video resonated with you, hit that subscribe button.
I definitely did already. Let me see if we can get one more. Ooh.
The pineal gland has tiny little cilia, hair-like extensions all around it.
You are not just a physical being living in a physical world. You are made up of energy and exist in a universe where everything is vibrating energy. You have the ability to send and receive energy. One of the biggest challenges for you is understanding how to live as an energy being in a world where everything is made up of energy. Every word you speak and every action you take, from the simplest tasks like breathing, walking, and eating, to the complexities of your emotions and thoughts, requires energy. These emotions and thoughts, whether positive or negative, carry their own energetic vibrations that can shape your experiences and have an impact on the world around you. And through the mastery of your vibrations, you can unlock a world of endless potential. Think of yourself as a transmitter of energy. All the time, you are sending out signals that tell the universe about yourself. These signals can either attract or repel other energetic beings, events, and experiences. If your energetic self radiates anger and frustration, your physical reality will reflect that as well. Naturally, you draw toward things that align with how you feel and who you are. If you emit an energy of wealth and abundance, your life will reflect that by bringing more wealth and abundance into your physical reality. Similarly, if you radiate negative or discordant energy, you are likely to repel experiences that don't match your state of being. Once you understand that your vibrational self attracts similar things, it becomes evident that if you desire a different experience in your life, you need to change the signals you are emitting. In other words, if you want to attract different circumstances or outcomes, you must adjust your thoughts, emotions, and overall energy to align with what you wish to experience. By consciously changing the signals you send out, you can create a shift in the patterns and experiences that come into your life. You are so much more powerful than you ever imagined. By understanding how to transmit the vibrations of your desired life, you can fundamentally change the way you experience the world and become aligned with your ideal life. Indeed, your thoughts are not just random mental processes. They carry energy and vibrations. Each thought you generate sets off a specific frequency of vibration in the neurons of your brain. This energetic activity creates a powerful force that aligns with and draws corresponding experiences towards you. In essence, the energy and vibrations emitted by your thoughts act as magnets, attracting and manifesting the essence of what you focus on. By understanding this principle, you can consciously direct your thoughts towards the outcomes you desire, harnessing the power of your thoughts to shape your reality. Your thoughts are the building blocks of your reality. There is a saying, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Your thoughts are the seeds that manifest your future. It's important to be mindful of manifesting the essence of what you focus on. By understanding this principle, you can consciously direct your thoughts towards the outcomes you desire, harnessing the power of your thoughts to shape your reality. Your thoughts are the building blocks of your reality. There is a saying, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Your thoughts are the seeds that manifest your future. It's important to be mindful of how you allocate your energy because it follows your attention. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide where to direct your energy. You have the freedom to choose, and even the act of making a decision requires energy. Albert Einstein once said, "Everything is energy." In fact, even watching this video requires energy. The energy we focus on ultimately shapes our reality. You possess the power to guide and manage this energy, determining where to concentrate it and how to utilize it. By doing so, you can effectively channel your energy towards your goals and aspirations. It's important to recognize that you have the power to control your energy. When you're feeling down, you can redirect your attention to something that lifts your spirits. You can also influence your energy by spending time with positive people, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and surrounding yourself with uplifting messages. Taking steps to protect your energy is also crucial, such as setting boundaries, avoiding negative situations and relationships, and practicing self-care. The universe aligns in your favor, bringing you everything that resonates with your energy. Trusting and having faith in the power of energy can create remarkable transformations in your life. By placing trust in energy, you recognize your own deservingness to receive and the capacity to generously give to others. Start perceiving that there is more to life than what is apparent, and that a greater force is at play. Become connected to something vast, something that possesses boundless knowledge, understanding, and love. Trusting in energy brings about remarkable changes in your well-being. Your energy aligns, your cells rejuvenate, and your overall health improves. Feelings of despair, confusion, and disappointment fade away, replaced by a sense of serenity, balance, and lightness. Your energy becomes clear, pure, and flows smoothly like a mountain stream. You embrace your worthiness and deservingness, and joy becomes a constant presence in your life. Wisdom and inner peace enrich your being, and clarity pervades your thoughts. This is the profound impact of energy, and when you place your trust in it, everything effortlessly falls into place. When you trust in the universe and have faith in your own abilities, your energy becomes both powerful and serene. Wisdom and tranquility emerge from within. Your thoughts transform into beliefs, and your dreams start to materialize in your reality. By believing in your aspirations and taking concrete steps towards them, you have the ability to create significant transformations in your life and accomplish everything you yearn for. Have faith in yourself and in the universe's guidance to lead you towards your purpose, and you will uncover your true mission in this world. Close your eyes and connect with your inner self, feeling the energy coursing through you. Feel the love, the strength, and the brightness. You are energy with the ability to create your reality and realize your aspirations. You are capable, worthy, and adored. Believe in yourself and the universe, and watch the magic develop in your life. To transform your thoughts into beliefs, it is crucial to actively practice the act of believing. By placing faith in the universe's ability to provide for your needs, acknowledging your potential desires and dreams, and embracing your deservingness of love and happiness, you can cultivate deep peace and joy. Remember, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. Let your vibrations echo throughout eternity, and may your journey be one of endless discovery, growth, and transformation. The universe eagerly awaits your harmonious vibrations, ready to co-create a reality beyond your wildest dreams. By consciously choosing and aligning your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs with the desired vibration, you can attract and manifest corresponding experiences into your life. If you're still here, I would greatly appreciate your support through sharing and commenting. It would mean the world to me.
Oh, you said sharing.
Thank you for taking the time. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day.
Hey guys, Grant Cardone here. For the last 10 years, I've been running what is today's largest, most successful business conference on the planet. And I want to invite you to be there. Check it out for free.
That's what's up. All right. Wisdom for youth. Y'all watch this real quick.
There are 3 books in the Bible known as the wisdom literature: Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. The first, Proverbs, showed us that God is wise and just.
Yeah, we learned that God has ordered the world so that it's fair. The righteous are rewarded, the wicked are punished. In other words, you get what you deserve.
But then we meet Ecclesiastes, who observes, people don't always get what they deserve.
Yeah, he said the world isn't always fair, that life is unpredictable and hard to comprehend, just like smoke.
And this makes you wonder, okay, well, is God wise and just?
Exactly. And so it's that question that is being explored in the final book of wisdom, Job.
All right, let's dive in.
So Job begins with a strange story that takes place up in the heavens, which are described something like a heavenly command center. So God is there with these angelic creatures called the sons of God, and they're all there reporting for duty.
And God points out this guy Job, his servant, showing how righteous and good he is.
And then one of these angelic creatures approaches. He's referred to in Hebrew as the Satan.
The Satan? Who is this?
Well, this word is actually a title, which literally means the one who is opposed. So out of this whole crew, he is the one questioning how God is running the world. And he proposes that Job might not actually love God, that he's only a good person because God rewards him. If God were to take away all of the good things he gave to Job, then we would see his true colors.
So he thinks Job is just working the system?
That's exactly right. Maybe he's obeying just to get what he wants.
So God agrees to this experiment and allows the Satan to inflict suffering on Job.
And Job loses everyone and everything that he cares about. It is devastating. And remember, he deserves none of this. God himself said so.
The remarkable thing is that in the midst of all this suffering, Job still praises God.
At least for chapters 1 and 2. But then in chapter 3, we find out how he's really feeling inside. He unleashes this poem that reveals this devastation. It's a long, elaborate curse on the day that he was born.
After this, some of Job's friends come to visit him to offer their help. And all of them are like, Job, you must have done something horribly wrong to deserve this. After all, we know God is just, and we know the world is ordered by God's justice and fairness, so you must be getting what you deserve.
And for the next 34 chapters, the friends and Job go back and forth in very dense Hebrew poetry. His friends keep speculating about why God might have sent such suffering, and they even start making up lists of hypothetical sins that Job must have committed. But after each accusation, Job defends his innocence.
And Job is innocent.
He is. He's also on an emotional roller coaster. At some moments, he's very confident that God is still wise and just.
Yeah, in other moments, he's doubting God's goodness.
He even comes to accuse God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. So by the end of the dialogues, Job demands that God come and explain himself in person, and God does so. He comes in the form of a great storm cloud.
Now, God doesn't give Job a direct answer. He doesn't tell Job about the conversation with the Satan.
Yeah, he does something very different. He takes Job on a virtual tour of the universe. He shows Job how grand the world is, and he asks him if he's even capable of running it or understanding it, just for a day. He shows Job how much detail there is in the world, things that we might see every day, but really don't understand at all. But God does. He knows it all intimately. He pays attention to the beauty and operations of the universe in ways that we haven't even imagined and in places that we will never see.
Then to conclude, God shows Job two wondrous beasts and brags about how great they are.
Yeah, they are dangerous. I mean, they would kill you without even thinking about it. And God says they're not evil. They're actually a part of his good world.
And then that's it. That's God's whole defense. It's kind of weird. I mean, what was this all about?
It seems to be this. From Job's point of view, it looks like God is not just. But God's perspective is infinitely bigger. He's dynamically interacting with a whole universe of complexity when he makes decisions. And this is what God calls his wisdom.
So Job asking God to defend himself is actually kind of absurd.
He couldn't comprehend this kind of complexity even if he wanted to.
So where does this leave us?
Well, it leaves Job in a place of humility. He never learned why he suffered, and yet he's able to live in peace and in the fear of the Lord.
But that's not where the book ends, because after this, God restores to Job double everything he had lost. And this, again, is surprising. I mean, is this a reward? Is God saying, congratulations, Job, you passed this elaborate test?
No, I mean, the whole book just made the point that Job losing everything was not a punishment, and so now getting it back isn't a reward.
So why does he get it back?
Well, apparently, God, in his wisdom, decided to give Job a gift. We don't know why. But what we do know is that Job is now the kind of person who, no matter what comes, good or bad, he can trust God's wisdom.
That's right.
And that's the book of Job, and the end of our wisdom series.
These biblical books of wisdom are amazing. Each one offers a unique perspective on the good life, and you need to hear all of them together as you learn to live with wisdom and in the fear of the Lord. Hey, you guys, thank you for watching this video from the Bible Project. You can find a lot more videos.
All right. Let's get another one.
Not just anyone can service a machine like these, which is why there's serious demand for trained aviation maintenance techs. At Aviation Institute of Maintenance, you'll train with FAA certified.
Galton Buddha always used to tell his students that our words can be very powerful. He said that our tongue, which we use to speak, is like the sharpest knife in the world. He also said that the most dangerous weapon in the world is our words. Even though they don't physically hurt people, our words can hurt people emotionally. Our words can be a source of strength, but they can also be a weakness if we don't.
I love this. Such a great illustration of this book. That's why you should read the entire Bible for yourself. It is great. Yes. I'm glad you got to see it. I had seen that video one time before. Sorry about all of the motion. I had seen that video one time before, and I watched it on my own, not on the stream. So yeah, I told you we got to get some good growth, some good growth.
Where and how much to speak. When we speak kindly and wisely at the right moments, it can lead to success. But if we speak unkindly or at the wrong times, it can make our life very difficult. So, friends, today I'll share a story about the importance of staying silent and how it has the power to change your life. This story will help you understand how silence can be powerful. Once upon a time in India, there was a famous Buddhist monk who lived deep in the quiet forest, far from the noise of the world. He was a very meditative person and was also very famous throughout India. One day, a king came to him and said, "Respected monk, I always feel tired, frustrated, and upset. My mind is very restless, even though I have everything, wealth, fame, and all the luxuries one could desire. There is still no inner peace within me. Oh monk, please help me to get rid of this restless mind." The monk said, "You already hold the answer within you, but you have never discovered it. I want to do an experiment. Would you like to do that experiment? After this experiment, there will be no unrest and worry in your life." The king was very upset after hearing all this, but asked the monk to tell him what to do and said, "I am ready to do anything for my peace of mind." Then the monk replied in a calm voice, "For the next 15 days, you will stay in my monastery and live like a normal person. For these 15 days, you will sit alone in silence and speak as little as possible." The king agreed to the monk's plan. On the first day, he noticed that his mind was more restless than usual. Many questions and thoughts kept popping up, and he felt uneasy living a simple life like everyone else. He really wanted to talk, but resisted the urge and stayed completely silent, just sitting quietly. But as the night went on, he began to feel an unexpected sense of calm and happiness. This experience puzzled him because he couldn't understand why his restlessness was fading away. The next day, the king continued to spend time in solitude, watching nature, flowers, plants, and birds in the sky. For the first time, he truly appreciated the beauty of nature surrounding him. He could observe and connect with the natural world all around him. 10 days went by, and all the inner restlessness and chaos in his mind gradually vanished. On the 12th day, he found himself entering into deep meditation. As his eyes closed on their own, he closed his eyes and entered into a deep state of meditation, and his mind became free from worry. The king experienced profound inner peace. After spending the last 3 days in deep meditation, he approached the Buddhist monk and said, "Respected monk, I have discovered why my mind was so troubled." He explained, "As I figured out the reason for my distracted and troubled mind," the monk asked, "Please share with me what you've learned." The king replied, "I used to talk too much and spend a lot of energy on people, often thinking negatively about them. This excessive talking and negative thinking wasted my time and made my mind disturbed. As a result of this behavior, I couldn't perform my tasks effectively, and I started failing in almost everything. These continuous failures made me even more unhappy and easily annoyed. It continued to negatively impact my life. However, these 15 days were a transformative experience. Now I feel like I'm truly living life to its fullest. And I realized that before this, I was living it the wrong way. I also realized that we don't have to force meditation. It happens naturally." The Buddhist monk mentioned that it's not just the king. Many people in the world talk too much. Even today, many people use speech to hurt others, and this excessive talking is still causing problems in their lives. The monk explained to the king the importance of being silent. He shared a story about a student who once asked Gautama Buddha why he was silent so often. Buddha replied, I stay silent to dive deep within myself. Silence is the first step to truly knowing yourself. Without silence, self-discovery is impossible, so the first step is to be silent. Only speak when necessary, and you'll see that most of our talking...
The fact is, we've come here right now. Millions of us lightworkers have incarnated on this.
About 90% is harmful. It would have been better if people didn't talk too much. It could have reduced about 90% of the problems. When people become quieter, there are fewer fights, less restlessness, and less arguing. If both individuals learn to stay silent, many problems in the world could be avoided. Someone who understands the value of silence can be at peace even in a crowded place. Being alone can be like heaven. The company of others can sometimes make us uncomfortable. It's important to start by finding peace within yourself and embracing silence, allowing your inner energy to flow. Invite your thoughts to settle down. If you wake up and feel disturbed by the presence of others, it's a good idea to close your eyes and reconnect with your inner self. You'll find a sense of freshness inside yourself because that's where your life originates. It's not in anyone else. It comes from the same source as you. When no one else can take you within, you must go there yourself. So look inward because you are the ultimate ruler of your inner world. That's where life begins, and that's where happiness is born. When you look inside yourself, you'll encounter the depths of life and even touch upon the notion of death. This inner journey is like watching your own life go through ups and downs, like the sun rising and setting. Every time you take this inner journey and come back, you'll feel refreshed. It's like you feel cool after a nice bath. In the same way, when someone takes time to be quiet and reflect on their thoughts, they often feel more peaceful and happy afterward. When you really connect with your inner self, you'll find that talking doesn't make your mind feel upset. Instead, there's a constant feeling of calmness inside you. You can talk and still remain connected to your inner self. You can use words without breaking your inner peace. When you do this, your words will have a beautiful quality, like music, and everything will be in harmony. Speaking this way will touch others deeply. When you maintain inner silence, you start to tap into a strong inner strength and break free from societal pressures. You'll find a special joy in life, similar to the joy of those who passionately follow their dreams. Your face will have a new brightness, and your eyes will shine with a unique light as you dive into the ocean of endless peace. Friends, you might have noticed that talking too much doesn't bring peace to the mind.
It doesn't.
It makes it hard to control our thoughts and to stay focused. People who talk too much find it difficult to concentrate on one task because of this. They can't give their full attention to their goals and often miss out on understanding the true meaning of life, making it more difficult to attain their desired success. Furthermore, you may have noticed that those who talk too much are sometimes mocked by others, and those who speak less and stand by their words will earn respect from others because people tend to pay attention to what someone says and trust their words. However, a person with a troubled mind typically finds it hard to succeed because they lack genuine interest in their work. True intelligence lies in knowing when, where, and what to say, and those who develop this skill tend to succeed in various situations. A person who speaks less often becomes the center of attention and tends to succeed in various pursuits. When we observe the qualities of great individuals, we find that they use few words carefully, considering what they say, and this contributes to their success. In contrast, there are many who talk excessively, often resorting to dishonesty and spreading negativity about others, which can harm relationships and reputations. That's why the people close to them often try to avoid and stay away from them. In ancient texts from different cultures, they often talk about how our words reflect our beliefs and values. Being quiet helps us become patient, which makes us more aware. Meditating can help us understand ourselves better. So, my friends, I suggest you spend at least 20 minutes alone in solitude every day. This can bring so much positive change in your life.
Yes, sir.
As we come to the end of this Zen journey, I invite you to become an integral part of our Inspira Zen community. If you found inspiration in this story, support us by hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and leaving a comment below with your thoughts or any Zen stories you'd like to hear next. And for more moments of motivation and tranquility,
hold on, y'all. All right. Let's look at this.
How are you not tired of spending your hard-earned money on a million different productivity
See what
apps?
Joyce
Well, here's
Meyer
how
is
you can
talking
save
about
and
real
waive
quick.
What is wisdom? Well, wisdom is the proper use of knowledge. It doesn't do any good to know something if you don't apply it properly.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes,
And
ma'am.
I think especially in the day and hour that we live in, there's so much knowledge, or so-called knowledge, everywhere. And in Daniel, the Bible says that in the last days, people will be running to and fro searching for knowledge. And I think that can be said that's true today. I mean, if you think about it, even knowledge of the Bible, I mean, there's so much available. I mean, you can be watching teachings on 10 different subjects all within just a few days. And so the concern is that we have so much knowledge, but wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. And so if we have knowledge, but we're not applying it to our lives, then it does us no good. And I almost feel like we need to park here for just a minute, because honestly, just because you hear something in church, or you underline it in your Bible, or you've got a book about it at home that you've read, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're applying it to your life. And we all need to make sure that we are not just hearers of the word, but doers. To know what is right to do and not to do it, it's sin. We don't just commit sins, but we can also sin by omitting things in our life that we should be doing. It's useless to know something if we don't apply it. And I think many people today are full of head knowledge, but it hasn't become a revelation to them yet. And so we want to talk today about the importance of going deeper. Going deeper. Paul said, my determined purpose is that I may know him and the power of his resurrection. He wasn't talking about just knowing about Jesus. I mean, he wanted to really know him. And you'll find today, as I share some of the prayers of the Apostle Paul with you, that he talked a lot about them having deeper understanding and knowledge and understanding. And that so often we pray for surfacey things. We pray for things. We want more money. We want a promotion on our job. We want the people in our family to change. We want all this stuff, a bigger house or a new car or whatever. But I think that we're wanting very often the wrong things. That's why in the prayers that Paul prayed, you cannot find a place where he prayed for the people's problems to go away. What he did pray was that they would have the ability to go through whatever they needed to go through and remain stable, to keep a good temper and not let the circumstance change them. Well, wow, I've never had anybody come to me for prayer and say, would you pray for me, Joyce, that I can go through this with a good attitude?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody wants to get rid of everything that hurts them. Also, Paul never prayed for a thing for them, not like a material thing, but he always prayed for these deeper things that are so much more valuable. You see, Proverbs promises us that if we walk in wisdom, that everything else that we need will come along with it. I mean, the promises in Proverbs of what God will do for us if we operate in wisdom are astounding. I mean, it's riches and honor and promotion and long life and good health and all the things that we really want if we just apply wisdom. Anybody who would take the book of Proverbs, study it, and apply every principle in it would have a life that was so amazing. I mean, it would be like jaw-dropping amazing. So before I go any further, I want you to consider, are you applying to your life the things that you say you know? Or do you often hear yourself say, I know I shouldn't do this, but, or I know I should do this, but? Well, that means you know what to do, but you're not doing it. Wisdom is a depth of insight that goes beyond the surface of a thing. Wisdom takes us beyond the way things look to the way they really are. Wisdom goes beyond how we feel to do what we know is right. You see, we have a flesh, and the flesh consists of our body and our soul. And what God wants, He comes to live in our spirit, and He wants to be able to have control of the soul. If the spirit and the soul are in control, then Satan has already won. Well, the soul is mind, will, and emotions. And so often people live based on what they want, they think, and they feel. I want, I think, I feel. I want, I think, I feel. But Proverbs is telling us that we need to go way beyond all that. We need to
just a little bit more
to be able to have control of the soul. If the spirit and the soul are in control, then Satan has already won. Well, the soul is mind, will, and emotions. And so often people live based on what they want, they think, and they feel. I want, I think, I feel. I want, I think, I feel. But Proverbs is telling us to be able to have control of the soul. If the spirit and the soul are in control, then Satan has already won. Well, the soul is mind, will, and emotions. And so often people live based on what they want, they think, and they feel. I want, I think, I feel. I want, I think, I feel. But Proverbs is telling us that we need to go way beyond all that. We need to live beyond how we feel. I mean, our feelings are real, and, you know, we don't have to say we don't have them. We can admit that we have them, but we can't let them control our decisions, our mind. How often do we say, well, I think. But what does God's Word say? And even what we want. Well, I want this, I want that. You know, God didn't call us to have everything that we want in life. He's called us to do His will. And if we do, then we'll end up with everything that we want that is something that we really should have. I want to know today, if you want a deeper relationship with God, or if you want to just keep stuffing your head full of knowledge and not applying it to your life. And I know many of you are applying it, but I tell you, writing Proverbs was good for me. Studying to teach this today was good for me, because these are things that we need to be reminded of, and reminded of very, very often. Wisdom involves discernment, and it's one of my favorite things to ponder and think about. We're going to talk a little bit more about it later. But discernment is something that doesn't come out of your head, it comes out of your spirit. And so if we can learn how to discern what's right and wrong and live by that, it's going to make our lives so much better. But you see, to go deeper takes more time. And the problem is we're in a hurry and we're impatient. And so if we feel like we want it, we just want to get it. And if we're going to walk in wisdom, we're going to have to take more time to really discern and properly understand exactly what it is that we're doing. Wisdom always thinks about later on. Matter of fact, there's a lot of different definitions of wisdom that are all great, but I have my own little definition that I like. Wisdom always does now what it will be happy with later on. You see, a foolish person never thinks about later on. They just want what feels good right now, but later on always comes. Please understand that. Later on always comes. And the Bible says we reap according to what we sow. And so if you're sowing bad seeds or seeds of disobedience, it may appear for a period of time like you're getting by with it, but eventually we will reap on those seeds that we've sown. If we're obedient, we'll reap on those seeds. If we're disobedient, we will reap on those seeds.
We hope you enjoyed
That
this
was
teaching.
beautiful.
To get
I
more from
definitely
Joyce,
did.
make sure to subscribe so you don't miss
All
a
right.
thing.
Motivation for the rest
Great
of
ideas
the
can come
day.
from anywhere.
All right, y'all. Let's get on with the motivation. Get a good one. 12
I had a
minutes.
purpose. I wanted to be one of the best basketball players to ever play.
Nah, hold on.
Some of you don't even realize you have unfinished business. You need to go back where you left off with a new perspective. Go back to the gym. Go back to the drawing board. Go back to the business. Go back to the relationship. Go back to the burning building. You have unfinished business. All you got to do is show up with a new game plan and a new perspective. You got to finish business.
You have unfinished business. You got work to do. Perspective is everything. Let's go. I need you to hear me loud and clear. How you see this thing is everything. You cannot change the past, but you can change your perspective about it. You gotta see this thing differently. Stop complaining about the divorce. Stop complaining about the job loss. Stop complaining about the relocation. Your viewpoint is your advantage. Thank you for breaking up with me. Here's what you did. You opened up another opportunity for somebody else to come into my life. Thank you for firing me. You gave me an opportunity to explore entrepreneurship. I'm not bitter, I'm better. Perspective is what changes the game. Everybody wants increase and abundance and lifestyle change and new zip codes and new area codes, but you only read once a week and you only work out once or twice a month. Abundance and life is what changes the game. Everybody wants increase and abundance and lifestyle change and new zip codes and new area codes, but you only read once a week. And you only work out once or twice a month. And so the reason why you don't have what it is that you see, the reason why what's in your head is not in your hands, it's not your reality, it's because your perspective opposes your potential. You don't have it because you don't see the value in it. If you believe you've been called to be the difference maker, the game changer, the disruptor, the person that comes into a room and commands the atmosphere. If you believe you've been called to be necessary and not grossly irrelevant, then everything you do, everything you see, everything rises and falls on your perspective, your perception, your viewpoint. How do you see this thing? What happens when your perspective, your perception diametrically opposes your reality? If you are going to give and grow and evolve and attain and become, everything rises and falls on your viewpoint. Show me somebody that hates to work out, and I'll show you a man that almost lost his life, and the doctor said, if you don't work out, you'll die. One sees it as cumbersome. One sees it as a problem. Another one sees it as a privilege. He sees it as his second chance, his new lease on life, that I have to work out. I get to work out. I get a chance to live a little longer. So one person sees the gym as a prison, and another person sees the gym as a passport. One man came within inches of losing his life, and another man has never come within 100 miles of losing his life, and he only works out twice a month, and somebody else works out 4 or 5 times a week. The reason why you only do it once or twice a month is because you don't see the value. Your viewpoint is either your advantage or your assassin. Your viewpoint will either get you going or get you killed. We see a storm, we see rain, and we think depression. We think I can't do anything. Instead of thinking grass can't grow without rain. Roses don't bloom without rain.
Right.
Number one, there's one thing I need you to stop saying, and that is, I should do something. that perspective, that viewpoint, that ideology, that philosophy, that mindset, it's gonna get you bankrupt. I should start this. I should stop that. I should forgive. I should. You don't get what you should, you get what you must have. I must work out X amount of times a week. I must forgive. I must evolve. I must become. I must retain. I must grow. I must live. I must evolve. I must go to the next level. I must live in this type of house. I must drive this type of car. I don't care how bad you think the shoes are that you are wearing. There is another man in this world who would kill to walk a mile in the pair that you wear. Marcus, what does this mean? This means that what you are complaining about, what you hate, what you can't stand, what you want to walk out of, what you want to give up on, there is somebody out there that would die to be in your position. And so here's what I need you to ask yourself. Is this problem an issue or is it an opportunity? Some of you, all you've been waiting for your whole life was an opportunity. What if losing your job was the opportunity? What if the divorce is an opportunity? What if the bankruptcy is an opportunity? What if the one you loved was an opportunity for you to reconnect with somebody and forgive them? I need you to see the bigger picture. I need you to have a little gratitude. You need to learn how to smile. You need to work out. I know you hate the gym. I know you hate to lift weights. I know you hate cardio. I know you don't like drinking water. I know you don't like taking care of your temple. You think it's the hardest thing to do in the world to commit. But there is somebody who's in the grave today, and if they had another opportunity to live, they would enthusiastically, with great confidence and courage and consistency, do what you hate just to live a little longer. Find the positive. See the bigger picture. Guard your gratitude. The trial, the tribulation, the adversity, the giant is not your assassin. The giant is your opportunity. Are you going to complain in the face of conflict, or are you going to seize the opportunity?
My God.
I don't care what it is that you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to give, how you're trying to evolve, what you are looking to become. Everything rises and falls on your perspective. Stop complaining about the jealousy and the envy and the backbiting and the person that gave up on you and the person that wasn't present and the person that lied to you and the person that attempted to manipulate and control. I'm not weary, I'm wiser. I'm not toxic, I'm triumphant. I see this thing differently. This season that you've entered into did not come to break you. It came to build you into the man or woman God has destined you to be. Change your perspective.
There's a reason why they say, see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you don't see that light, you're gonna lose your mind. You will lose yourself. You will snap in half if you don't see past this. The challenge for many of us is that we gotta see past our present pain and into the fruitfulness of the future. The right perspective makes the impossible possible. You cannot change the past, but you can always change your perspective. No problem could be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. The severity of your problems is a matter of perspective. Change your perspective, and most of them become insignificant. Some of them will no longer exist as problems, but opportunities. The right perspective is the instrument you need, the tool you need. It's a discipline, it's an advantage. If you change the way you look at things, then the things that you see will change. Knowledge, a speech, a motivational moment will not sustain you, because how you see the rest of your day will oftentimes determine the way you see the rest of your life. Shift your perspective. If you can change your perspective, you can change the future. Many of you listening to me right now, you have unfinished business, and you need to go back to that dream, back to that idea. You have a date with destiny. You have unfinished business. It's time for you to go back to the drawing board with a new perspective. It's your viewpoint. And watch this. Your perspective actually shapes your language, and your language shapes your world. And so if you don't start thinking right, you're not going to talk right. And if you're not talking right, you're not going to experience the world that you see in your head. I don't know who God has called you to become, but what I can tell you is if you keep seeing it the way you have seen it, you will never become it. Everybody wants next level. Everybody wants wealth and influence, and everybody wants to be this esoteric novelty. But listen to me, you will never experience any of this showing up in your next season with the same viewpoint. The right perspective makes the impossible possible.
They're my people right there. They're my mans and them. Hey, check it out. This was a good one. It's always, I always be like that. But not every episode be a great episode like that. But this was a good one. I was very interested and very intrigued, and listening to everything that they said that was there to make me wiser and help me grow in wisdom. I hope that you all were there too to hear the same thing. This has been another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow, Tech Tuesdays. Wednesday, there will not be a show. Then we'll be back on Thursday and Friday. All right, this is DGTA TV. I'm your host, Dan F. Man, here on Expansion Pack. Peace.
We reach thousands of customers. It writes.
Oh, I don't drink, so we not going to talk about nobody dealing with alcoholism, you know, so.
Talk to me about your relationship with alcohol and how it's changed.
I just had to put that out there. Moving on. We get a little bit more of this in here. The question is how to feel better.
First question is from Forlevesi Claudio. When feeling tired, is it better to have a mediocre workout or rest and train the next day?
Yeah, so this depends on how tired you are and why you're tired. If you went,
I also think it depends on how often this happens to you too.
Of course,
because remember when we had a good interview with Dr. Andy Galpin, and we talked about this a little bit, and he made a really good case for there's value in kind of forcing yourself through a workout like this sometimes. Not all the time, not most of the time, sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who like
optimizing versus adapting.
That's right. That's it. Right. And so there is times where it's like, hey, you want to be able to get up and do these things when you're tired. Because if you always go easy or fold when you're tired or fatigued all the time, then when you need to get at you're not going to be able to perform.
Yeah. Now, another thing to consider is that movement, so long as the intensity and volume is adjusted, is usually good for you. Almost, not always, but almost no matter what. So if you feel sluggish or sore or tired, you probably don't want to go to the gym and beat yourself up. But what you might want to do is go to the gym and do some full range of motion movement at low intensity.
Adjust your intensity, yeah.
Yeah, some mobility stuff at low to moderate intensity, some stretching. And what you'll find is it actually helps rejuvenate the body. It actually helps improve circulation. So in those cases, sitting down and resting might be bad. Because here's another thing. These days, a lot of people feel sluggish and tired because they don't move.
That's right.
Not because they've been moving too much. I've seen this with my own kids, especially when they're doing school from home. I'll take them outside and force them to work out or go on a walk. First 10 minutes, they're complaining. After about 10 minutes, their energy starts to perk up, and they feel a lot better, even though they're complaining at the beginning and saying, I'm too tired to work out.
Yeah, well, your body responds to what you do the most, and that's what you're literally teaching your body what the priorities are every single day. And so to get up and to move at least, and like you said, like adjust your intensity and at least go through ranges of motion, I think is massively valuable, because it just still sort of sends that signal that the body needs to move, it needs to function, it needs to express itself, and that's a healthy practice to maintain. But there are some days where you just had like an incredibly intense workout, or you're just bombarded with work, or you just haven't taken a day off at all. I think it's valuable too to just take it off.
Yeah, totally. But and there was that one study you brought up a couple episodes ago, Justin, where they showed that people working their grip improved their cognition. Just that flexing and squeezing of the hand got them to perform better with cognition. I noticed with the trigger sessions in MAPS Anabolic, when I was testing the program out, I noticed throughout the day the trigger sessions were better than a cup of coffee. They energized me. Even if I went into them like, oh man, I don't really want to do this, and then I'd do it, and then I'd come out of it and I'd feel invigorated. So movement is usually a good idea. You just have to modify the intensity and the volume.
That's good.
Now get 20% off at Chewy Pharmacy. Some things are even better together.
Right.
At Chewy.
All right. Let me see. How does working out change your health? Let's see what's up.
Next question is from Lorraine Fighting Fit. Since listening to you guys, I'm trying to cut down on cardio. I always do resistance training anyway, but how much cardio is enough for healthy heart, lungs, etc.? I don't want my cardio to affect my resistance training, but I want to do enough to keep healthy.
All right, there's a lot to unpack with this particular question. So number one, cardiovascular activity done appropriately is good for you. It's good for your health. So I don't want to give away the message that it's a waste of time or whatever. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good for you. Now the question is about hearts and lungs and the benefits there. The truth is, studies actually show this. Resistance training is just as beneficial for the heart as cardiovascular activity. Where cardio is superior to resistance training is in building stamina and endurance. If you want stamina and endurance, more stamina and endurance than you'll get through resistance training, then you can add cardiovascular training. Now that being said, for most people, you'll get plenty of endurance and stamina through resistance training, especially if you cut your rest periods short and you do supersets. But if you're somebody that wants more athlete levels of stamina and endurance, then go ahead and do the cardio. What's too much? Well, this is very very dependent on the individual. What's too much for one person is enough for another, just like resistance training. So for most people, if your goal is just overall health, I would say, 30 minutes a day of some kind of cardio is probably great. It's probably going to benefit your health.
Well, here's the thing. Training for health is one thing. Training for fat loss is another thing. And I think this is where this message gets mixed up with us. That people think that we're anti-cardio. Listen, if you are in a healthy weight and you're happy where you are, body fat percentage, you don't feel you need to lose any more body fat, do as much cardio as you want. I mean, if you can get up every day and you enjoy going for a run every morning, by all means, that's very healthy and it'd be great. What we speak to, because the number one thing that everybody wants to do is to lose body fat. It's a losing battle to go after it through cardio.
Right.
That is the message. So if you're at where you want to be and you've done it through resistance training and dieting and you got to the body type or size or body fat percentage that you want, do as much cardio as you like. I mean, if you enjoy doing it, do it every day.
So long as it's appropriate, right? You don't want to overtrain or overdo it.
Yeah. I mean, why would you though? If you're just doing it for health purposes, do how much you enjoy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you're doing it for health purposes, and you like to go for a half-hour run or an hour run every day, then go for it.
But I like to just promote that there's other options out there, and I think that people will hear that, and so they'll just think to get on a treadmill and just walk or run and do the same repetitive thing over and over and over again. When it's actually going to be more beneficial for your body to move in a lot of different ways and to be more active overall. There's so many other joints in your body that need to be expressed and need to be moved, so that way we avoid pain and we avoid these arthritises and things that happen as a result of this repetitive stress. We just lock ourselves in these positions. So that's why, I just want to, promote a little bit different message around cardio that, there's other ways to get the same result, but you just have to be more active throughout.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that. The best form of cardio for most people is walking, and here's why. It's not because walking is superior for stamina or endurance or anything like that. It's because walking is the one skill that most people still possess, right? Most people still walk, so you can go for a walk and you're not going to have absolutely terrible biomechanics and whatever. Most people, this is the truth now, most people in modern societies don't have the skill of running. Sorry. Now, we evolved to run. Humans actually evolved to be amazing runners, but that does not mean that you can run well. If you stop running at any point in your life, if you haven't run every day forever, like most people, you're in your 20s or 30s and you're like, the last time I ran consistently was when I was 10. Just lacing up your jogging shoes, going for a run, it's misleading. You think it's easy. Oh, you just go for a run. It's not a big deal. Running is very technical. It's a very technical movement, and if you haven't done it in a long time, you don't run properly, especially if you run to fatigue. Now you're going to go outside and run till you're tired. You're going to run terribly, and this is why, by the way, studies will show this, the number one form of exercise that causes chronic pain and injury is running. It's exactly what Justin was saying. That repetitive motion over and over again in which you don't do it well. So I'm so glad you brought that up. So walking is the best form of cardio for most people. And then if you want to do more intense forms, treat it like a skill. Don't treat it like a workout.
Right.
Eating in or dining out, both are rewarding.
I remember when we was throughout all of the military stuff I did, everybody always had a problem with their feet. Everybody had a problem with their feet because the footwear, we running, we not necessarily training on how to run, we just running, and we got all of this weight on us, on our back, on our bodies, wearing a uniform, so anybody who I guess is in the military